All right, so that's all of the who has more talent section. So that's
Oh,
just all number one, and I stopped keeping score honestly. So
oh
I
dear.
think I think we I think
I
we
think
ended up with Prince has a slight lead. Actually, I think it's MJ has three and Prince has four.
okay. I
Um,
thought Prince was in the lead. Okay.
yeah, Prince is in the lead by one so far. So we'll see what we get out of the rest of these questions. And the rest of the questions don't have subsections or anything. They're just they're just the question.
I about to say, they're like the SATs. You got questions among questions.
Exactly. All right. So the next question is, who was more prolific? I think I had mentioned this earlier, where I was like, I think that that's pretty much just there you go. Like Prince was more prolific.
This is
You
obvious.
that's like an obvious answer. Like Michael Jackson, that's actually the thing, and it's weird because I was having a conversation with another friend who was saying that the fact that he was prolific was actually the reason why he didn't sell as many records. Um,
You mean on
and
the history album, or are you talking about Prince?
I'm talking about Prince.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that Prince was more prolific, because like the argument was like Michael Jackson released an album and then he would just get increasing sales every year until he released another album. Like he released Bad and no. Which one was 91? 91 was that Dangerous? So
Yeah.
so he released Dangerous in 91 and he ended up winning awards in 93 for that album.
Wait,
Uh
Dangerous was 92.
am I right? So 92, and then he ended up winning awards in 93, and then his sales increased. And, it was just like he was still riding the wave of that one album for years. Whereas Prince would release an album and people would be like, wow, this is really good. I'm going to listen to this one for the next couple of years. And it would reflect on the next album because it wouldn't sell as well because people were still listening to the other album. Um,
Okay, I got it. I'm so sorry. It was 91. You were right. I'm
I'd,
thinking about the music videos and stuff that kind of came because it came out in November. I
right. It
remember it
came
was
out
in
at the
November.
tail end of 91. Right.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember which November. Okay, it was 91.
No, and you're right. And then the videos and the singles were released all throughout 92, and then he
Yeah.
started winning awards in 93. And like Prince didn't do that. Like he would release an album in November of 91, and then the next album will come out in July of 92. It's like he's like, whatever, I have more music. Come and listen if you want. So even though Prince is going to get the point here for being more prolific, there's very few acts, and I can't honestly think of a single one that would be more prolific than Prince. And again, that comes with some good and some bad. It was the reason that he sold less than most other acts that were considered to be his contemporaries. Michael Jackson and Madonna, they would release an album every 5 years or so, and they would sell 60 million, 60 million copies per album and everything, is because they would ride the wave of that one album until basically they were like, all right, we need to release another one. Prince would sell around, 2 to 5 million per album. But he released so many more that, I don't know if it equals out in the end, and it doesn't. I think I have actually seen those numbers. I think Prince ended up selling like somewhere around 400 million albums in all, and I think Michael Jackson ended up with like 750 million in all.
Oh
So
dear.
even though he released a ton more albums, Michael Jackson still sold more of fewer albums.
Yeah, I feel like with the political thing, I feel like Michael got more political going into. I feel like on the Dangerous album, there's one song called "Why You Wanna Trip on Me." I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely relate to that song. That one right there. I feel like it started off because it had political things in it, but not really. He was kind of like walking on the line.
Yeah.
It was like half of it is about me, walk, chill out, and then the other part was like, Republicans and Democrats, whatever. But I definitely feel by the History album, especially when he went on Diane Sawyer, when everyone got mad at him about the tanks and all that. I feel like from history and down, it became more political.
Hmm.
And of course, along with that and with the other things that happened, it started to get him in trouble as well.
Yeah.
So Prince wasn't alone. Michael just waited until later.
Yeah, he just waited till late. Well, he waited until he was kind of not everybody's golden boy anymore,
Yeah.
and then he started kind of getting angrier.
Yeah.
And like Prince started off, and he had that political message and everything, and part of that political message was that there's nothing wrong with sex, which was why he didn't mind putting sex in his songs. It wasn't that he was, well, it also was kind of that he was going for a shock value, but he was also trying to normalize the idea that sex is not a bad thing, which in the 80s, it seems like that would be obvious because everybody was crazy in the 80s.
Yeah, I wasn't even around.
I understand, and I was very very young in the 80s, so it didn't really, I wasn't part of that. But just historically, just looking back on that, it was crazy until AIDS hit, so there you go. Okay, so so the next question. Oh, it's crazy. I'm going to let you start off the next question. And the next question is, who was more influential?
Oh, hands down, I would say Michael. With everything, whether it's music, dancing, style, the way you sing a certain song, certain moves, just, I felt with his hairstyles, the different hairstyles that he had. And especially during like the 80s and 90s, I felt like, I wasn't around, but it was YouTube, I can watch it. Everyone kind of wanted to be a bootlegger MJ.
You know what? I would actually kind of agree with you. I would actually say that and I guess, I don't want to say that Prince was less influential. But I think that's going to end up being the actual answer here. But I think that Michael's reach was just so much farther than Prince's, that he ended up inspiring more people. And there are a lot of people who have made their entire careers off of kind of being like or sounding like Michael Jackson. Whereas I can count on one hand the number of people who are equated with Prince and having been influenced by Prince. And this is just saying people who have said that I am influenced by this person or that person, because I'm sure that the musical influences are all over the place, I'm sure, with a lot of different musicians. So I'm mostly talking about the people who have come out and said, yes, Michael Jackson inspired me, or yes, Prince inspired me.
Yeah.
So,
and plus Michael is, I think, the second most impersonated man in the world, or person in the world.
Who's the first?
Elvis.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Elvis, then Michael. I don't know who's after that.
No, but that's pretty interesting, actually. But yeah, so can you name maybe a couple of like acts, some musicians and stuff that were directly influenced by Prince? I'm sorry, or directly influenced by Michael Jackson?
See, I was gonna go Miguel, but okay, you said Michael now.
No, Miguel's mine. I get to say Miguel.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, as long as you don't leg kick me, all right? You can have Miguel. But no, I would have to say who. Beyonce, she said it many times.
Okay.
Zendaya, Ursha, Justin Timberlake, Lake. Sorry.
Ooh.
I'm not a big fan, but I have to say it.
Apparently.
Who else? Sierra, Alicia Keys said it.
Okay.
A lot of people.
So,
Britney Spears.
Of course. Whenever I listen to Britney Spears, I go, man, she sounds so much like MJ.
Exactly. I don't know what she was thinking, but that was Britney back in the. You never know who she's going to be the next day, Britney. She was
right. So I think on Prince's side, there's Questlove, there's Bilal, there's obviously Miguel. I've said that several times. I love Miguel. One of the things too about Prince is that he is an influencer not even of just professional musicians, but like music colleges teach a class on like Prince's stylings and how he plays guitar and like stuff like that. Like Prince is a topic in
Oh, I've heard about
schools,
that. I've heard about
so it's like, there's untold number of people who are being influenced by Prince every day, even though it might not be the main thing. Like everybody who goes to a music college learns about Prince, and that's just a thing. But I would probably still give this to Michael, again, just because there's so many people in major musical positions that have said that they are influenced by him. So I'm going to give that one to MJ. So ding ding for MJ. I got to learn how to do graphics so I can have like a
little ding.
All right. So the next question is, who was respected more?
If we talk before 93 or after? I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. You mean before? No. As a whole, I feel like if we're just counting throughout life, I would say probably Prince. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was kind of underrated in the beginning. People were just kind of like still riding the Michael train. And then sadly, when Mike started like dying down, and all the rumors started taking over, I feel like Prince was finally like low key was like, yes, finally. Sorry, Mike. Like, but I feel like throughout life, we're just talking about their life as a whole, and as an artist, from when they both got started. I think Prince was like 19. I think Michael was about 5. Poor guy. Yeah. I would say Prince.
Okay.
As a whole, like, I mean, yes, Prince had his rumors too, but Michael had the guy couldn't breathe without. Oh, this is a problem.
Right. I would probably say Prince too, and I think mostly it came from early on in his career where like he fought for the right to publish to produce his own music. So that was a big deal. Like people were like, man, this kid can really do his own stuff. So like he had that initial respect. But I think honestly, when it got around to the early 90s where he started doing the whole name change thing and he started fighting for the rights of artists and he started kind of changing the whole music publishing game. Like a lot of what we know today in terms of music publishing, Prince did that first before it became like a big thing. And I think that he's respected a lot by other artists that were following suit in publishing their own music and releasing it direct to fans and finding other ways besides getting signed to, a big major label. And he was kind of the pioneer, honestly, of a lot of that. So I think he earned a lot of respect from that. Okay, well, we're going to give that one to Prince then. Okay, so, here's a good one. Here's an interesting one. Who killed covers better?
You mean killed in a good way? Or
like,
hear the song again?
Like, they killed that song.
I don't know a lot of Prince covers, so
okay.
I may be biased on this one because.
Well, I only know really one Michael Jackson cover, and that was of "Come Together." So, what other ones did he do?
He did "Come Together." He but he done "Smile," which is one of his favorite songs.
"Smile," that's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad song, but the title is kind of like okay. But he did perform "Come Together" twice in the Bad Era and again on the History tour.
Yeah. Well, I know the recorded version is on History.
Yes.
So I don't know a lot of the Michael Jackson live performances and stuff like that.
Is "Killing Me Softly" originally by MJ?
No, "Killing Me Softly" I believe was Roberta Flack.
Yeah, he did that song too.
Oh, he did. I'm gonna have to listen to that one. I haven't heard that one. So Prince actually was interesting because Warner Brothers would actually steer him away and told him don't cover songs. That was actually one of the things that as soon as he wasn't on Warner Brothers anymore, he released a 3-album set called Emancipation. And on there, he had like 6 or 7 covers because he had been told not to do it for so many years. And he covered Betcha by Golly Wow. He covered One of Us. He covered I Can't Make You Love Me. So that, I mean, that's like three right there. And he ended up covering, was it Every Day is a Winding Road? And oh my God, he covered Creep. During the Super Bowl, he covered Jimi Hendrix. Just, you know, in that performance that you said that kind of got you hooked. He did
Yes.
some Jimi Hendrix, some Tina Turner. He did some Foo Fighters right there on the stage, and it just mixed right into the set that he did with his own songs. Because that was all along the Watchtower, which was just amazing to hear Prince sing. I don't know. I think we're going to probably have our own biases here.
Yeah, because there are songs that Michael did sing, but they weren't like official covers. Like he'll like, you know, there's recordings of him like doing a little bit of like Whitney Houston, but not really. So as far as like an actual cover that everyone has heard of and not like leaked things,
Right.
I will probably, I haven't heard the Prince ones besides the one on the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going based off who had more covers, then I think Prince would win by default, you know?
Yeah, and it was less, I think this question was less about who had more and just more about who could like take a song and make it their own and kind of just, you know, just kill the cover. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to count that as a tie. So they both get points for that. Because I don't think that we're going to come to a consensus there. If it was more, again,
Yeah,
I think it becomes one of those things where Prince probably just did more because he was again more prolific earlier. So yeah, so we couldn't make it a more thing. But yeah, you know, I think that probably just feeds into, you know, our biases there. I prefer Prince's covers of songs. You prefer Michael's, and that's fair.
Thank you.
So here is where we compare their best albums. So the way that I had considered what best meant was most sales, most popularity, and everything like that. So in my mind, that would make it Thriller versus Purple Rain. Are you in agreement there?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not really... Purple Rain is not my favorite Prince album at all, but I realize that obviously is the one that sold the most copies of any of his albums, and that was where he kind of got his hype and everything like that.
What's your favorite Prince album?
What's my favorite Prince album? The Gold Experience, actually, which was, I believe, 1995. It was the Gold Experience, and he had really hard guitar on there and rap and all kinds of craziness on that album. So that one's actually my favorite, and still to this day, it's probably one of my favorites, even though I've been listening to more of his later albums recently. But the Gold Experience, definitely. So definitely not comparing just our favorite albums, because then that's that's whatever. But if we compare Thriller to Purple Rain, so if we just go albums sold, Thriller sold more, obviously. Number one singles, Thriller had more number one singles. Purple Rain had 3, but I'm pretty sure Thriller had 4, as a matter of fact. So almost.
Oh,
yeah, because that was the thing that he got. He like broke a record of like if I recall correctly on Thriller, Michael broke the record for having 4 number one hits off of the same album, yes, which was a record that he hadn't had before. Or actually, I think he had that on Off the Wall, and he duplicated it with Thriller. So, or yeah, not number ones, I think just top 10s. But I mean, honestly, like, it's one of those things, because Prince is really well known for When Doves Cry and Purple Rain. I think Let's Go Crazy is a lesser, like, it's still up there in his hit catalogs from Purple Rain, but I think it's lesser than either When Doves Cry or Purple Rain, the track itself.
It was probably number 3.
Yeah, I think it was probably in like number 3. But when you think of Thriller, like, every song except for the 2 songs on there that weren't released as singles are like hugely iconic.
Yeah, you think of Thriller, of course. You think of PYT, Human Nature, my personal favorite. Oh, wow. I'm just going to list the whole album. But yeah,
that's what ends up happening with that album, is you just list the whole album, and every one of those was a single, and it was a huge hit. Like, except for the 2 that weren't released as singles. And if they just had released those 2 as singles, they could have had the whole album. Like, the two that weren't released were they weren't really my favorites anyway, so I
Yeah,
understand why they
I think
weren't.
Michael needs to. Oh no, let's not ruin the vibe of number one.
Yeah,
People,
we can't release that one. We can't release Lady in My Life as a single because it won't get high enough.
I personally like Lady in My Life, but I can see why, because it's just like when you listen to things like Thriller and then Beat It and then PYT, you just jamming and jamming. Then the Lady in My Life come. Some people are single; they're gonna automatically hate the song.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what I felt when I was listening to the album. I actually said this in my review that I did of Thriller, which like I'm like listening to the album and I was doing my review and then Lady in My Life came up and I was just like, I think I've like only listened to this song like once before because PYT is the song before and when PYT was done, I was done with the album. It was like, Lady in My Life is a sweet song, but it's not a closer. It's just not. It's not one
Yeah.
of those. It's not that song to end an album on.
No.
So yeah, I
I think
think
it should have been a bonus. I think they should have put a bonus track on there somewhere. But
I think so. I think that would be cool. They weren't bonus tracks weren't really that big a thing back then in
oh yeah,
in '84, but I think it would have been cool, honestly, if they had done it back then. So there's that. So sales, Thriller, singles, Thriller. If even if we go with
influence.
societal influence, it's still Thriller. I think Thriller wins if you compare their best two albums. Yeah, I think that one we're gonna have to give it to MJ. I'm just saying, we're gonna have to give it to him. All right. Okay. Well, that's so. Right now, what we're at is we're at MJ with 6 points and Prince with 7.
All right.
That's where we're at right now. MJ was interesting because he influenced fashion in a way. Well, let's just talk about it. So let me start from here at this point. So the next question is, who influenced fashion more? And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier when you were talking about that the fact that Michael Jackson had influenced a lot of fashion, and which is weird because Prince also influenced fashion, but in a completely different way than I think Michael Jackson did. Because for me, like Michael Jackson came out and then everybody wanted to dress like Michael and look like Michael. And the same thing with Madonna, like everybody was wearing lace and like 1,000 wristbands on their arms and, stuff like that with Madonna. And it was the same thing with Michael, but you didn't get that with Prince. Nobody walked around with like a frilly shirt and, with curly hair and stuff and dressing like Prince, really.
To be honest, many people wouldn't be able to pull it off. I mean, personally, I feel like some people can't pull off an MJ look. I've dressed up as MJ for like Halloween. I've done voiceover for MJ. If I use my MJ voice. But as far as it's like, I feel like many people couldn't pull off Prince if they tried. That's why think about it. Who else is gonna wear heels? Who's gonna have a pirate shirt on? It's just not gonna look right.
Well, true. Well, and that's actually the point I was going to get to was that I think that Michael Jackson influenced fashion for the masses, whereas if you look at a lot of like fashion stuff around the time that Prince was doing, like when Prince was big, like a lot more like fashion designers and stuff seem to be influenced by Prince.
Yeah. If Prince was still here, I feel like maybe like Fashion Week and everything, because both of them was very androgynous. Prince claimed his androgyny more than MJ, but I feel like with Prince and Mike, they can kind of do like, I've seen women dress up as MJ, I've seen men do it, and then with Prince, I feel like his was more like, I want to say more like costume, but again, I see people try to do like, Halloween or on stage. But it's not gonna look right with other men. I feel like Prince knew that this is he wanted something that was just for me. Like those perms you see at the store, he was just for me.
And that's exactly what it is just for me. He's so silly. Just for me, relaxing kid. I know what you're talking about. And I think that's actually the thing is that Prince's fashion was so Prince that like he had his own personal designer. All his clothes were made form-fitting for him. And that's why I think a lot of his stuff felt very costumey, because he liked a lot of bright colors, and you know, he wore a lot of like entire bodysuits and, you know, stuff like that. Like I think I would agree. I would think that I think Michael probably gets that point just because it was more for the masses and not necessarily for himself.
Even when people was making fun of him, they'll dress up as him. I'm like, to be someone that everyone quote unquote hates, why take time to put on the makeup, the hair? You know, that's a lot to do for someone you don't like.
Right. Exactly. So now if we do the tally here, V, we actually have MJ with 7 points, and we have Prince with 7 points. So I don't know. Did we learn anything with this video? I don't.
I want to hear more Prince covers. That's what I have to do.
Okay.
Because I want to give a biased answer with that, because I didn't hear many, so I have to go and do
that. But you know what? I think that this was actually a really fun conversation. Just kind of, you know, kind of talking about, you know, Prince and MJ, and we were not talking about their shadowy past or any rumors or anything, you know, because we're not, you know, we don't want to talk about the negative part. We want to talk about what was really awesome about these two artists, and you know. Yes, we were pitting them against each other and scoring and doing all that stuff, but I think it was a really fun conversation just about, you know, where one was kind of better than the other, and we ended up with a tie in the end. So,
yeah,
you know,
see, it wasn't like, you know, like some fans who are like they fight to the death, you know, like those crazy ones. You know, we are fans, but we can be honest and unbiased with our opinions.
Exactly, you know? which I think is actually, I think that's when you are a true friend to an artist, is where you're able to, you know, critique them, you know, constructively critique. So anyway, you know, thank you so much, V, for coming. I'm going to put a link that if you wanted to follow V's channel, which is devoted to Michael Jackson, and they make a bunch of different videos. And what kind of videos do you make on your channel?
Oh, well, the style of my channel is basically, I have a trailer for it, but for my channel, it's basically about, it's a mixture of myself and Michael and Prince. I use Michael as an idea of myself. I don't, you know, put myself in videos too much. I've been in my videos, but not much. And in my videos, I just try to portray either what I'm going through, what someone else is going through, different stories that happen with my life or with Michael's life. Every video is different, you know. So it's just, you have to just draw your own conclusions of what you think the video is about. But yeah, my channel is just basically about myself and about Michael, and I want to dab into more things as well, because I have a more following of females than I do of males, and I call them my little black diamonds. So hi, if you're listening. And
you have a lot of them, so you have, and just so everybody knows, like V has way more subscribers than I do, so probably worth going and checking out V's channel.
Oh, he's catching up. He's doing great, you all. You know, stay subscribed to him. Tell others. Bring a friend and bring a friend. Share him on all your social medias that are popular. He's doing great.
Oh,
he's very modest, but he's doing great.
But thank you so much for coming, V. I think that this has been a very nice and spirited conversation, and hopefully everybody liked it. And if you did, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out V's channel as well. And may you live to see the dawn. Everybody have a good one.
Bye.